Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. It's time to wind up your podcasting listening devices. Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast is on the air. Trade deadline edition. And like we talked about in the past, there were a lot of trades that were like, who? What? And there were a couple of surprises. And there was one that, as big as it was, really wasn't a surprise. And before we move on, have you enjoyed the trade deadline action this year?
Yeah, I guess I have. I've been. It's been fun to see all of the major writers like Jeff Passan and John Heyman and Morosi, all of them, and coming back and forth. It's a done deal. No, it's not quite done. Oh, Ken Rosenthal, I also heard, was traded to the Brewers, I think. Oh wait, that was another Rosenthal. Yeah. So James Wood, and the actor, was also traded during this trade deadline. So yeah, it's been exciting. I did try not to look at Twitter, but that didn't work very well.
I think it's funny because I saw Rosenthal, Jim Bowden, both in The Athletic, going through the list of here's what could happen. And of course, nobody could write the Dodgers off, but I've watched the Dodgers long enough now to know that they weren't getting ready by the moves they made beforehand. They weren't getting ready necessarily to move in and swoop in and change something.
No, I think that Andrew Friedman likes to play chess, and he was making chess moves, not necessarily that certain players were going to come to the Dodgers, but that other teams may have to give up more than maybe they were wanting.
Right.
And yeah.
So we're gonna dive fully into that in just a second. Before we move on to talk trade deadline and who moved where and our thoughts in that, we have some winners to announce. Winner! We gave away some t-shirts, and thanks to our partner in this giveaway, The Game Day Chic. It's at The Game Day Chic. The Game Day Chic. Is that correct?
That's
their Instagram.
Correct. Yep.
And then
Game Day
can you
Chic.
find them online? Is it Game Day Chic or thegamedaychic.com?
Game Day Chic.
Okay, so Game Day Chic, and that's CHIC. .com, and you can go and check out some of their great t-shirts and that, and see what all they have to offer. Who were our winners? Let's start with our two SRBB t-shirt winners, and then who won.
All right, so
the grand prize.
Two very excited winners of our SRBB t-shirts were Mary from Idaho and Amanda from Florida.
Sweet. Wow.
And then our grand prize winner who got an SRBB t-shirt and a $40 gift card from at the Game Day Chic. Really cool t-shirts to go along with the SRBB t-shirt. That was Alex from California.
Sweet. Well, congratulations to the winners. We thank you for checking it out and playing along. Stay tuned. We're planning another giveaway, and we're kind of trying to get, now that we've got it under our belt, it's like, hey, let's do some more of this. It would be better if we could get some, Dr. Pepper sponsorship, or anybody else that wants to participate in a giveaway with us. That would be great. And while you think about if you want to do that or not, once again, congratulate our winners. Put a little note on our post from Instagram or Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A, and on Instagram and Facebook, at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A. And another really cool thing I'm really excited about this is I'm going to be putting it up on the Instagram page, Facebook page, Twitter page, but I am now a Zox ambassador, and Zox are, I'd say bracelets, but they're cloth, so they're just really cool, and they just have really cool sayings, and I have a ton of them, and I'll be sharing those with you and on our social media. Plus, I have a code that you can get 25% off on your first Zox purchase. So I'll be sharing that on across our social media platforms.
Trade deadline just happened. Before we get to talking about the trade deadline, I know we're a baseball podcast, but I definitely have to call this out and say farewell to a great human being and an incredible basketball player. Bill Russell left the world just a couple of days ago. In the NBA from 1956 to 1969, an 11-time champion, 12-time All-Star, 5-time MVP, 2-time NCAA champion. His number 6 is retired with both the University of San Francisco and the Boston Celtics. He got a gold medal in the Olympics, and 2 of those championships he got were as player coach in the late 60s. So just an all-around incredible human being, Bill Russell. And just wanted to send out our condolences to his family and just make note of an incredible athlete and, like I said, an incredible human. All right. Now, you said you thought that there was some fun in the trade deadline. I, for the most part, felt like, whatever.
Well, yeah, I can see that. The only thing I think is fun is, like I said, checking Twitter to see what's going on. And so, yes, as far as this year's trade deadline, everybody knew there was one guy. He was it. And where was he going to go? It's been weeks of speculation. So in that case, and it happened early, a lot of times the really good trades happen right like 5 minutes after the deadline.
Yeah, we get them right at deadline.
Yeah, and when that didn't happen this year, I think it was just fun, just to kind of check Twitter every once in a while, see if something happened. But yeah, no, I would agree with you. Now, all of the teams across Major League Baseball made trades except for the Colorado Rockies.
Which is interesting because they had some pieces that people thought might move. Jose Iglesias being one of them because he's, in the top 10 batting in the league. And he's a great defender. So thought maybe he might move, maybe a pitcher, but
yeah, I thought that their closer that they have relied on, Daniel Bard, would be somebody who moved, but instead the Rockies extended him for 2 years for about $19 million. So instead of making any trades, they just kept their cards close to their chest and extended reliever Daniel Bard.
They didn't even take the hand. They just left the cards on the table completely.
Yeah, that's true.
We got to talk about the biggest trade of the last couple of days. And it happened yesterday, actually, when the Yankees acquired right-handed pitcher Scott Effross from the Cubs for a right-handed pitcher, Hayden Wesneski.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't believe that trade. It really shocked me when I saw it come across. I was like, what are they thinking? But, yeah,
well,
I mean,
the Cubs
the Yankees are in and the Yankees are in contention. I mean, they are the best team in baseball right now. You got Aaron Judge, who is just crazy on fire. But that trade, that was the one that really was like, all right, okay, Cubs. I thought maybe the Cubs would keep him because they're rebuilding and he was a really good rebuilding piece, but I guess not.
So really everything that there were some trades we talked about last week. Daniel Vogelbach moved to the Mets. We did see Tyler Naquin find his way to the Mets from the Reds. Those were a couple things there, not that big. Really, the biggest domino to fall fell early. And that was Luis Castillo, who was the top pitcher. At least that was the talk. He was the number one pitcher available in the draft. And the Reds sent him to Seattle.
Yeah, that was a surprise. I did not see him going to Seattle and really going into the American League. I thought he would stay in a National League club. I know Dodger Twitterverse was really hoping that he would be in a Dodger blue. But yeah, big surprise that not that he was traded, but that he's now a Mariner.
And the Dodgers, as far as pitching goes, only really made one move of note. And that was picking up Chris Martin.
Yeah, Chris Martin, who we've seen played against him when he was Brave. They picked him up from Chicago and traded Zach McKinstry to Chicago for Chris Martin. So one thing with Zach McKinstry, good player, fun to watch. And he'll have a lot of playing time in Chicago, is my hope, because he didn't have that much in L.A.
Now, Chris Martin joins a bullpen with the Dodgers that are awaiting quite a few players. Brusdar Graterol, who's been on and off. Blake Trinan, I heard, is actually throwing live batting practice or to live hitters. Tommy Conley, who I don't even remember ever seeing him pitch for the Dodgers. I think he did once or twice, but, missed that. Victor Gonzalez finally wicked. And a guy that we picked up last year at the trade deadline from Kansas City, Danny Duffy. All those guys are scheduled to come out the injured list in the next few weeks. So, Chris Martin may be in a pretty crowded bullpen, and I think that's why the Dodgers didn't really go out there and make a lot of moves necessarily. There were some surprises, but the Dodgers weren't really part of the surprises.
Well, maybe a little.
More in what they didn't try to stop from happening, swooping in like last year. There was all this talk, and we might as well just get it out here now. Last year, there was all the talk about Max Scherzer going to the Padres. And at the last minute, when it was like you said earlier, it's a done deal. No, it's not a done deal. No, there's still a few things to work out. And it was day of, last second, Dodgers signed Max Scherzer and Trey Turner.
Yeah, and I think that is really the biggest surprise, is because it was Padres with Max Scherzer, but the Dodgers get Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. So maybe that was part of the reason why AJ Preller was so crazy. And I think he's crazy every trade deadline, but this time, especially with trying to one up, that's not going to happen again. That's not going to happen. And it didn't.
Yeah, it didn't. And just as everybody had pretty much been reporting since the beginning, but to make it interesting, said, this team's still involved. The Dodgers still seem to be. The Dodgers are very aggressive.
Yeah, St. Louis was involved, but they weren't willing to give up a piece, and so that kind of was a catalyst of, I don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah, I think the Mets might have been involved, but I think the Nationals were like, we are
We
not
don't want to
going to
face
trade
him
to
17 times
Yeah.
a year or whatever.
Exactly. So yeah, the interesting part of this deal and what would have made it even better was, so we all know Juan Soto, along with first baseman Josh Bell, are now Padres. And I'm sorry that they have to wear those City Connect uniforms every Friday at home. But that's where they are. But Eric Hosmer, kind of a linchpin, because he had a 10-team no trade clause. And the Nationals were one of the teams on that list. So it was first like, oh, well, if Eric Hosmer doesn't give the stamp of approval, if he doesn't give the stamp of approval, well, the deal is off, which seemed like, really? You're going to give all the power to Eric Hosmer? He's like, I can, what can I do? But that's not what happened. It was a done deal. They were just trying to kind of put him into the mix. And instead, the Nationals get C.J. Abrams, Luke Voigt, who, if he was friendly with Eric Hosmer, I don't know if he would be friendly with him anymore. Or maybe he's happy. I don't know. But Mackenzie Gore, who is a pitcher. And then top prospects, Robert Hassel III, actor James Wood, just James Wood, the baseball player, and Harlan Susanna, all go to DC. Now, Eric Hosmer, the interesting part of this is he was, like I said, going to be part of the deal, but he refused to be traded, and instead he was traded to the Red Sox, and the Padres will pay $44 million to the Red Sox to take Eric Hosmer away. That's a lot of money.
Yep.
And so the Red Sox will only be on the hook for just the base pay of, what's it, like entry level pay for
Right.
a major leaguer. And that's all. So it was a good deal for the Red Sox. Maybe. He hasn't been that great. So another guy headed to San Diego, Josh Hader.
Yep. They made some moves. They really did.
And
that
also,
really improved their team.
Yeah. And also, Cincinnati's Brandon Drury is now a Padre.
Yep.
So, yeah, it'll be a really different looking team. Dodgers will be facing them this weekend. So we will get to see that up close and personal.
The Phillies made some moves. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. And the Dodgers didn't make, they made a few moves. The Mets picked up Darren Ruff from the Giants, who we talked about last week, hitting a grand slam, his first ever. And now he'll be able to try to do that in Metland as they're contending for the NL East title and a playoff berth. The Orioles sent their closer and all-star Jorge Lopez to the Twins. He's another guy. I honestly thought the Dodgers were going to get a closer somewhere.
I did too.
And as it went, I didn't think that they were going to. I wanted Bednar out of Philly. Out of Pittsburgh, but he didn't go anywhere. The Astros made some moves and picked up. They needed a better hitting catcher, and they got that in Christian Vasquez. The Asterix traded off Jake Odorizzi to the Braves to kind of fortify their rotation. He's been off and on, so I'm not sure exactly. They gave up Will Smith, a reliever for him.
They also got Trey Mancini from the Orioles. So they were making some moves to help them out. Tommy Pham. Everyone wanted to know, where's Tommy Pham going? His name was everywhere, right? He's in Boston for like to be determined. How do you feel when you get traded and it's to be determined who the
I don't
other
know.
people get?
Yeah.
I don't know that would make me feel good.
Right. The Rays made a few different moves. And talking about Rays, Brett Phillips, who they DFA'd, found his
Which
way to
I thought
Oregon.
was, I know, I'm so glad to see that. I was like, this is a travesty. Brett Phillips has to be playing baseball somewhere, and I'm glad that he'll be at Camden Yards. It'll be fun.
Yeah, part of that move was because the Rays picked up Jose Siri, the Houston center fielder, and he's got a decent bat. The Rays picked up a few different players trying to make something happen. So now let's take a look. I know there's a lot of them we probably could go through because there were a lot of different trades. But let's look at some of the stuff that the Dodgers did. I know that they sent away. In fact, I think I even asked you about him. What do you think about trading him just the other day, just between us? And sure enough, he got traded, and that's Mitch White, who's been pitching really well.
Yeah, he's been pitching really well. He was sent down after his last outing, not because he had a bad outing, but roster moves, things like that. And he is now a Toronto Blue Jay.
And then they also gave up another, guy who's been having an okay time since he's been called up from AAA, and that's Jake Lamb is on the move.
Yeah, that one was a little bit of a surprise to me, but he was traded to Seattle, and he looked really good in his time with the Dodgers, and I think he's from the Seattle area, from what I understand. So going back home, Garrett Clevenger, I think we mentioned he is going to Tampa Bay. The one that I'm thinking they know what they're doing, and maybe it's just a change of scenery, is they traded their number 15 prospect, Clayton Beeter, who is a pitcher, to the Yankees for Joey Gallo.
Yes, that was stunned silence. I know across Twitter, and you even texted me today. It's like, really, Andrew Friedman? And really, what's he going to do? If everybody's healthy, there's not really any place for him.
Yeah, I don't know where he's an outfielder. He play left field platoon with Trace Thompson, and that would move Gavin Lux back into the infield. Chris Taylor will be coming back. He's going to be starting a rehab assignment soon, and in fact, I think this week. So where does he fit in, or will it be Joey Gallo platoons with Trace Thompson in the outfield, Chris Taylor platoons with Gavin Lux in the infield?
Right. Yeah, it's going to be crazy how that works. And I think a lot of it's all going to come down to what's Joey's bat. How is he hitting? Like I said, they don't really need him. Maybe that's the key, is him not having the pressure, but they didn't really need him in New York either when you've got Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and that. But, that was a major surprise, I think, that he went there, of all the places that he could have gone.
Yeah, it's like he had an interview and he said, I didn't do well here in New York, and it was basically, I'm sorry, kind of, apologies. But I don't think he knew why. I don't know if he figured out, obviously when he was a Texas Ranger, he was it. for that club, and then he became a Yankee and just fell off the face of the earth, kind of baseball.
Traded last year at the trade deadline. He gets traded again this year at the trade deadline, and we'll see what happens with him with the Dodgers.
Well, I think, it'll be interesting to see what he does with the Dodgers, if they can get him right at the plate. He is going to be a free agent after this season, so it's probably low risk for the Dodgers to pick him up.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work out, they can always DFA him. It's not like they're locked into him there. The other surprises actually came from the Angels today. One we thought was going to happen. Two others we didn't. And the first one of the day was unexpected. And the Angels send Brandon Marsh, Captain Caveman, to the Phillies for what now becomes their number one prospect in their system, a catcher named Logan O'Hoppe, who was he was just biding his time as the Phillies' number 3 prospect, but JT Realmuto's there and signed to a long-term contract. He's not getting anywhere anytime soon, so he comes to the Angels. The Angels are in need of a catcher, at least to build up on. Max Stassi's been having his problems. We got Kirk Suzuki, who's, on his last legs, it seems, at times. So that was an okay, but very surprising trade of the trades. You figured there would be one trade made, and that would have been Thor, Noah Syndergaard. And that one came later. That was like late in the day on trade deadline day.
Yeah, he had even tweeted out a picture of John Travolta John Travolta's character from Pulp Fiction, kind of looking around like, all right, what's going on here? And then the next thing you know, he is traded to the Phillies, and the Angels get outfielder Mickey Moniak, who was a top prospect in the Phillies organization.
They actually get 2 outfielders out of that one. There's Hadiel Sanchez.
Oh, that's right.
As well.
That's right. Yes. I was surprised with Brandon Marsh, because I thought if you're going to trade, if you had a choice, Brandon Marsh and Joe Adell, I would say Joe Adell all day long.
But the thing is, the Phillies need defense more than offense. And Joe Adell and Brandon Marsh are like best friends, but Joe Adell's bat's been better than Brandon Marsh, and Brandon Marsh has been much better defensively. And then the last one, that it wasn't so much a surprise that it happened. It's just that it wasn't talked about. And I'm not surprised that a deal got done. And that's that Raisel Iglesias is now a Brave.
Yeah. He said that he hoped that he would have been able to stay through his contract with the Angels, but he said baseball is baseball, and he's going to be a Brave now. And the Angels get one of the most traded, in fact, he is the most traded player in all of baseball, and that is Jesse Chavez, who has been a Dodger, and he's been everywhere.
Yeah, he's like
10 different teams.
He's like the Johnny Cash song, I've been everywhere.
Yeah, I've been everywhere, man.
Yep. Yep. So they've got him and left-handed pitcher Tucker Davidson. Of course, Iggy's going to take over for Will Smith, closing things out for the Braves. Of course, we mentioned Will Smith traded to the Asterix for Jake Odorizzi a little bit earlier. So there's still a ton of stuff that we didn't even get to. Just one more. The Twins made a lot of moves. Also, they got another pitcher, one of the Reds pitchers, Tyler Mahle, and for 3 prospects. They got Jorge Lopez. So there was some decent moves and teams that are trying to make it into the playoffs this year. Of course, the Angels bailed out early and nobody really thought that the Angels would give up Ohtani. They weren't going to trade him. There weren't too many teams that could really afford what they wanted. I know the Dodgers were really looking at it. Artie Moreno's not going to let his number one draw go to his competition.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's why we heard later in the day that Ohtani had been locked in the basement of Angel Stadium.
Right. You're not going anywhere.
Keep him safe.
I think that they're going to try to keep him and sign him long term. And we even had a little bit of that go on. We can talk about that when we get to Around Baseball. But there were a couple of players that not that they were trade bait, but they got signed to a pretty decent extension, especially an all-star out of Atlanta. Got that. So how it all shakes out, and will it make a difference for the teams that made the bigger trades? How will the Dodgers shake through everything? Will their little moves and the potential of all these players coming back? I think that they put a lot on the fact that there's a lot of players that are coming back from the injured list, and they're hoping that those players are going to fall in and contribute right away and not have any issues. I really thought there was going to be a starting pitcher in there somewhere, but unfortunately, nope. And then, of course, with the Angels, I don't know that it really mattered. The only thing that mattered would have been if they traded Ohtani, Trout, or Rendon. I guess maybe Jared Walsh, David Fletcher, but Ohtani or Trout would have been the two big names. And Ohtani's really the only one that anybody would really want right now, because the other two guys are both injured, and who knows where they are. And do you want to take on that much of money? It'll be fun to see how the rest of the season shakes out and who makes it to, if anybody who made big deals makes it to the playoffs.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
So unexpected breaking news as we record the podcast. It won't be so much breaking news necessarily when you're listening to it. But we just got word that Vin Scully, legendary Dodger and sports announcer, incredible voice and icon in the sports world, has passed away. He's 94 years old. And I think most of us know, if you're a Dodger fan, and even if you're not, if you're any sports fan, Vin called Dodger games for 67 seasons, starting in Brooklyn. His first year with the Dodgers was Jackie Robinson's first year, and he grew up a Giants fan, and you couldn't ever tell by the way he called the game that who he was a fan of, because he called it right down the middle. But I can't remember how many games I listened to him on the radio or the simulcast. Could hear him on the radio and on TV because they were doing both. And just incredible. He called golf. He called football. He called the Immaculate Reception with the 49ers. He called that. If you remember in the movie For Love of the Game with Kevin Costner, he's calling the game. Kevin Costner's Billy Chappell's perfect game there. And most of it was his call, not scripted. So we just found out, like I said, that he has moved on. He's up. Tommy's probably giving him a hard time up in Blue Heaven, and he's joined the rest of the team. I'm sure that Sandy Koufax is probably not. It's probably a sad moment for him, not just like for all of us, the fans, but he was close with Vin. Vin called his no hitters. We're actually going to talk about Sandy a little bit later, but for now, for this moment, let's just take a second here and remember Vin Scully as he moves on to call the games in the cornfield. All right. And as Vin would want, baseball's going to go on. He knew it would go on without him, whether any of the rest of us believed it or not, and it does. And he would want to see that happen, to move on and enjoy the game that he loves so much. So let's talk about last week's Dodgers games when the Nationals came to town, and then they headed out to play the Rockies. We've already talked about a couple of their trade moves. We'll see how that works out coming up. But in game one was a guy that definitely wasn't going to get traded on the mound, and that's Tony Gonsolin. Went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 4 runs, and only struck out 4 in the 4-1 loss to the Nationals. So after a great weekend of beating up on the Giants, they took a day off.
Yeah, they took a day off. And the other thing you notice when you look at Tony Gonsolin's line is he was getting better with walks. He wasn't giving up as many walks. And in this game, he gave up 3 walks. Concerned about Tony Gonsolin because he was so good before the All-Star break. He was an All-Star. Didn't look great in the All-Star game. And now he's looking a little shaky on the mound. And I don't know if it's like a confidence, or if it's something in what, I don't know, like a mind block, something that is preventing him from, getting back to where he was. So a little bit of concern with Tony. But, and I guess one of the things, too, is that he's throwing more innings than he's ever thrown before. So that could be another reason why he's looking kind of shaky. But if he's going to be shaky now, let it be now instead of as we get into the postseason.
Trey continued hitting, 2 for 4 in that game. Gavin Lux as well, 2 for 4. And a guy that we keep saying his name more and more often, Trace Thompson.
Yeah, 2 for 3, had a home run.
Yep, he's the one that scored the 1 run. Juan Soto, really the only offense he created was in this first game. He was 2 for 4, had a triple. And then Yadiel Hernandez hit a home run in that game as, like I said, the Nats walk away with a 4-1 win. So you figure it's just one. The Nats aren't that good of a team.
Right, and they just swept the 49ers,
right.
The Giants. And that would have been awesome. That would have been
San
weird.
Francisco team. I don't know.
That's right. The Giants. And so you're like, okay, give them that, 1 game. Yeah, that didn't happen. We go into game 2, and Mitch White
guys
is on
that
the
are
mound.
no longer with the team.
Yeah,
were on the hill during that game.
Yeah, and one, when I heard he had been traded, I was like, I think it's because of this game that he got traded. Mitch White on the mound, 6 innings, gave 9 hits, gave up 2 runs, had 4 strikeouts, no walks, didn't give up any home runs. So he looked good. It wasn't until Garrett Clevenger, who had been called up earlier from Oklahoma City, came in, pitched 1 2/3 innings, gives up 3 hits, 6 runs, 4 of those earned, had a walk and 3 strikeouts. And it was Skip who had to come in and, kind of clean up the mess.
Stop the bleeding, as it were.
Stop the bleeding, yeah. Because, that Garrett Clevenger, I think that was his audition and his exit.
All at one time. Thanks. We'll be in touch.
That's right.
Now, on the other side, also on the mound, former Dodger prospect Josiah Gray. on the hill. 5 innings pitched, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, struck out 6. The clown, Victor Robles, 3 for 5 with a stolen base. Josh Bell, one of the top 10 hitters in the league, batting .304 at that point. 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. And then Luis Garcia, 3 for 5 with a home run and 2 RBIs for the Nats. So that takes us to the last game of that series. Things kind of turned around, partially because the Nats threw the guy who was supposed to be a really good pickup for them and has just fallen apart. And that's Patrick Corbin. Only goes 2/3 of an inning, gave up 7 hits and 6 runs as the Dodgers thump them 7-1. What's one thing that was kind of cool is we were talking about all of these guys coming back from injuries. Andrew Heaney back on the mound, and we get to see now what can they expect, and maybe what they saw was enough to not go out there and push to get a starting pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, he was limited in his pitch count, but he went 4 innings, gave up a 1 hit, had 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, but he looked pretty good on the mound. And so I think you're right in that line of thinking that they were like, yeah, we got Heaney, so let's keep at it. And in this game, we had Mookie Betts was 2 for 3. It was like everybody had a double. Mookie had a double. Trey had a double. Hanser Alberto had a double. Gavin Lux had a double.
Was Oprah there? You get a double.
She was handing him out.
You get a double.
That's right. So at least they salvaged that win because they were headed to Colorado,
where they haven't played well. So,
no.
But it wasn't like when they came from Atlanta previously. They head up from LA. They get there for a 4-game set with the Rockies. And you were talking about doubles.
Oprah was there. She followed him. She took her show on the road.
It was, pretty good. Tyler Anderson on the hill for the Dodgers.
Yeah, he looked really good. 7 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, but no runs, no walks, had 4 strikeouts. And then it was Jake Reed who came in. He holds it with, gives up 1 hit, pitches 1 inning, gives up 1 hit, and a walk. And then the guy who is becoming in the realm of Russell Martin, Hanser Alberto, the closer for the Dodgers in this game, who pitched 1 inning, gives up 2 hits, didn't have any strikeouts, but the Dodgers thumped the Rockies 13-0. And we had Trey had a double, Freddie, Will, Gavin, Cody. It was doubles everywhere. Mookie was 2 for 6, Trey Turner 3 for 4. Everybody had a hit in this game except for former Dodger and now Cub, Zach McKinstry.
Huh. How about that? Well, interesting for the Rockies, Brendan Rodgers was 4 for 4. He had more hits alone than the whole rest of the team had together.
That's it. It was the Brendan Rodgers show, and nobody was tuning in from the Rockies dugout.
No, they were ignoring him. So game 1, success. Game 2 sees Julio Urias on the mound, and he too went 7 innings.
Yeah, 7 innings, gives up 4 hits, 2 runs, and has 4 strikeouts. And the Dodgers were up. It was like 5-2. They were looking good. They were going to cruise in. Evan Phillips comes in from the bullpen, who looked, who has looked really good, and then Craig Kimbrell, and is very Craig Kimbrell-like on most days.
Mm-hmm.
Pitches an inning, gives up 3 hits, 2 runs, gives up a walk, gives up a strikeout. Gives up. He gets a strikeout. He gives up. I'm so used to saying he gives up, but he got a strike. Dodgers hold on to win 5-4, and that is because, again, everybody contributed. The only 2 guys that didn't have a hit, Freddie Freeman and Gavin Lux, but they both got on base because they got a walk. Mookie had a triple. Will Smith had a home run, 2-run home run. Cody had a double, and then Trace Thompson, 2-run homer to help in that win.
When I see Trace play, it just makes me say, Joey who?
Yeah.
Like, why did we need to go get him? Chris Bryant, who you almost forget is there. 2 for 4. And then we talked about him earlier, somebody we thought might get traded, Jose Iglesias, who's batting .303 at that point. 2 for 3, one of the top 10 in batting average in the National League. So we go to game 3, Kershaw on the mound, automatic win.
It should be an automatic W in the books, and that's not what happened.
Nope.
Because Kyle Freeland.
Yep.
He was on the mound in his hometown of Denver. Kershaw went 5 1/3 innings, gives up 8 hits, 5 runs, 3 of those earned, only has 3 strikeouts. This is not a good game for Jumbo Jacks, and neither was the game before or the game before that.
Yeah, no, Jumbo Jacks, they're Jack in the Box is like, hey, this is the greatest promotion ever. We don't have to give anything away.
That's right. Yeah, in this game, it was Kershaw who, the Colorado ends up winning the game 5-3, and it was Kershaw that was on the hook for all of those runs that the Rockies got. And like we said, it was because Kyle Freeland was on the mound, and he pitched 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 runs, and had 6 strikeouts. So not a lot. I mean, Trey Turner did have a home run in this game, but everything else pretty non-existent for the Dodger lineup.
Yeah, base hit here or there, but nothing really that brought anything. Brendan Rodgers, 3 for 4 in that game. It was Randall Grichuk that had a triple and 3 RBIs. And then once again, Jose Iglesias, who keeps showing up like that, but he didn't show up like that when he was an Angel. In fact, last year he got DFA'd as an Angel. So
well, and you know what's interesting about him, Jose Iglesias, is he loves playing against the Dodgers. I think that's what it is, because when he plays against the Dodgers, he seems to always be on base. He's always getting them out, making these great defensive plays.
Doing his Tim Anderson impersonation, always on base.
Yeah, always on base.
Wait, I thought the Dodgers were batting. Why is Jose Iglesias on base? They get the L, but that's all right. They had won 2 of them, right there, boom, boom, in Rocky Land.
Which looked a lot better than they have in the game. I mean, they opened the season with the Rockies and didn't look good.
And then finally, we see Tony Gonsolin back on the mound again to close things out. Game 4, the Sunday finale. And really, there was only one name that really needs to be talked about out of Sunday. And it isn't Tony Gonsolin. It's not German Marquez, who pitched for the Rockies, or their catcher, Brian Serven, who hit a home run. Nope. This is rookie, very first game. What's that guy's name? James something?
James? Outman. James Outman. Yeah, I mean, he came in and was on fire, comes up, first at bat in the major leagues, third pitch of the at bat, hits a home run. Crazy. I mean, this guy, he was called up after Zach McKinstry was traded, and he is the 8th player in franchise history to hit a home run in his first big league plate appearance. He went on to not only have a home run, but also have a double. He had 3 RBIs in that game. He's the first player in franchise history to have 3 hits, a home run, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs scored in his debut, and only second to have 3 hits and 3 RBIs in his big league debut. The last time that happened was Packy Rogers. You remember Packy Rogers from 1938?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Good old Packy.
Yeah. He's also the 3rd Dodger player to have a home run and 3 hits in his major league debut, joining Jose Offerman in 1990 and Ernie Coy in 1938. And he is the first Dodger in 30 years to have 3 or more hits in his major league debut. The last time that happened was Hall of Famer Mike Piazza, September 1st, 1992. And he is the first player in the majors to debut with 3 hits, a home run, 3 RBI since, wait for it, Joey Gallo. June 2nd, 2015.
His new teammate.
Yeah.
How
So
about
that's
that?
really all you need to know about that game. Is it was James Outman Day at Coors Field.
Exactly. Yeah. What else was there? He sounded like, when you're going through all the stuff that he did, it almost sounded like, wait, are you going to say Shohei Ohtani?
Right.
Because that
No.
sounds to be like his thing. We'll get to Shohei coming up. So that, not a bad week. I mean, they lost a couple to the Nats, 1 to the Rockies. So a pretty decent week. It still keeps them up. Really, as far as the major league's concerned, just a game behind the Yankees overall as we finished up the weekend. So the Dodgers head from Colorado to San Francisco, where they'll take on the Giants, who, like I said, made some moves of their own. See if that makes any difference. And then they're going to be back home to take on the Padres. And it'll be interesting to see with all those changes. And one of the guys that we mentioned earlier that got an extension is a Padres pitcher.
Yes.
So we'll talk about him in around baseball and what kind of an extension he got. In the meantime, player of the week.
I had to go with, please extend him. He needs an extension now. Trey Turner.
Oh, yeah.
366, 4 RBIs, 4 doubles, 2 home runs, and making really good defensive plays too. Yeah. Out of everything that I would have loved to see in the trade deadline, I wanted to see Trey Turner extended, and I think I really hope that it happens.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was hoping to see as well. But alas, it did not. But I picked Trey also. 18-game hit streak as of the weekend. 8 of those have been multi-hit games. He has not been hitless since July 8th. We'll see next week if he can continue that on. But his name would have popped up in every single game with a hit. All right, one last time before we move on and we take a look at the Angels. As we started the segment, we just found out that Vince Scully has left us for Blue Heaven in the cornfield to call whatever the next great game is that's going there. And we just wanted to send out an SRBB condolences to his family. He will join his wife, who preceded him in death by a couple of years. And we'll, for those of us who got to hear him, it'll always stick with us. And then we get to hear him before the Dodger segment every time with It's Time for Dodger Baseball.
Yeah, Vince Scully was the voice of our summer. That's how I always saw him. You walk into our grandparents' house, Dodger game was on. Vince Scully, and play pool in the garage. Who was on the radio? Vince Scully. And people in the stadium had their transistor radios just so they could listen to Vince Scully. Huge loss for not only the Dodger family, but the sports world.
The Angels started this last week in Kansas City and then headed home so that they could take on the Texas Rangers. Game one with the Royals is new Phillies pitcher Noah Syndergaard with a decent outing, 5 2/3 innings pitched, gave up 6 hits, but only 1 run, struck out 6. He was up against Zach Greinke, a former Angel, who I'm wondering if Zach's in his final season. You know, he came back to where it all started at. He started in Kansas City. He threw 5 innings.
I think that might be. That's what I'm thinking too. I think he's done. I don't know.
Only 3 hits. Didn't give up any runs. Struck out 5. Another Royal that is no longer a Royal. Andrew Benintendi, who we talked a lot about last week because of his vaccination status, keeping him out of Canada.
Yes, and it doesn't seem to matter. But also, Whit Merrifield was traded to the Blue Jays, so I'm sure that there's some needles heading for him soon.
Right, he's going to have to do that because he was one that couldn't go. The bullpen was the big problem for the Angels, with Luke Tepera and Austin Warren each giving up 2 runs apiece. So it's a 7-0 win for the Royals. Shohei with a double, Walsh with 2 of them. It was double city, kind of taking a cue from the Dodgers, I guess.
Yep.
The Dodgers. All right. And so you can just wipe that one off, because in game 2, the Angels grabbed the W. Turned the score around a little bit. 6-0. Jose Suarez on the mound. 5 1/3. No runs given up on 3 hits. Shohei 1 for 3 with an RBI. That one would have been a home run. Luis Rengifo, the guy that we see his name. Now, he had a couple of games where he didn't get hits, but he seems to be, one that's constantly getting on base. He was one that I wouldn't have been surprised to hear his name on trade deadline time, that somebody might have picked him up, because he's been really solid for him. Max Stassi with a home run in this game in the 6-0 victory. Angel Zerpa and Wyatt Mills pitching for Kansas City both gave up, one gave up 2 runs, the other one 3 runs to help the Angels grab that victory. And then game 3, the final game of this series, sees another ex-Angel contribute, and that would be Captain Caveman. Brandon Marsh, 2 for 4 with an RBI. A recent pickup off the waiver wire, Phil Gosselin. The Goose is loose again in Anaheim, and he's got an RBI, and Kurt Suzuki also. But the big thing was Jansen Junk, who the Angels picked up last season at trade deadline time from the Yankees, had a pretty decent outing.
Yeah.
5 innings.
8 strikeouts.
Right. So
five innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs, but those 8 strikeouts, that's what sticks out to you. And the bullpen, they looked pretty good. They didn't give up any runs.
yeah,
That's good.
That is real good. So they leave Kansas City, head home. They've got 4 with the Rangers, who've been playing pretty decently. And the Rangers made a couple of moves, but they didn't make any big moves. Some people thought maybe they might be in a position to trade Martin Perez, who's like their ace and an all-star this season. But nope, he's there, and they're just trying to continue to build up their team. First game out, Corey Seager was the only game he played versus the Angels, and was 3 for 3. Nathaniel, don't call me Nate Lowe, 2 for 4 for the Rangers, and the 2-0 victory over the Angels. Shohei, another good night, another double-digit strikeout night, 11 Ks. Only gave up 2 runs on 8 hits over 6 innings. Just not really there just wasn't any offense, really, except for Luis Rengifo, who almost hit for the cycle.
Almost. Yeah.
Just a home run shy of it. And then the Angels welcome back David Fletcher. And he went 1 for 3, which takes us to the second game of the set with Patrick Sandoval, somebody that I thought was a possible trade piece. Didn't go anywhere either. On the hill, 5 2/3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, and struck out 6. And he went against Martin Perez, who went 7 innings, gave up 1 run on 3 hits. It was Rengifo and Fletcher, once again, that provided a lot of the offense for the team. Marcus Semien had a triple in the game.
I don't know. I feel like it's just blah, right? Because you had 11 strikeouts for Ohtani, and they lose 2-0. And then Patrick Sandoval, 6 strikeouts, and they lose 7-2. But things do look up.
Kind of.
Yeah, there's always a caveat.
It wasn't a great outing for Chase Silseth. I think he needs to go back down and get some more. The problem is we just don't have, the pitching. And they're probably going to lean on him even more now that Syndergaard's gone. He threw 4 innings, gave up 5 hits, 5 runs, struck out 5. So there was that. Former Angel Raisel Iglesias pitches decently and picks up his 16th save of the season. So, of course, that means the Angels won. So after losing 2 so far to the Rangers, they do pick up a W. And new Angels pitcher, who we talked about joining the Angels not too long ago, Touki Toussaint. He threw 4 innings as well, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs, and 3 strikeouts, and he picks up the W. Shohei 1 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a home run. Max Stassi 2 for 4. Oh, there he is again. Rengifo with the plate. He played every infield position except for first base, pitcher, or catcher. He played second, short, and third during that game. 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs. And David Fletcher, who's done pretty well since he came back, scored 2 runs, drove in 2, and was 2 for 3 on the night for Game 3 in that 9-7 victory. So they did get that W, which was nice. And it led us into Game 4 and Reed Detmers, who had a no-hitter earlier in the season. Then after the no-hitter, fell apart, went back down. And since he's been back up, he's been more consistent and a little more solid. He goes 7 innings, gives up 3 hits and only 2 runs, and has an immaculate inning. 9 pitches, 3 strikeouts. Now, do you know how many players or how many pitchers have thrown a no-hitter and had an immaculate inning in the same season?
How many pitchers?
Well, other than maybe Russell Martin might have done it. We're not sure.
I don't know.
I'm surprised because normally you know that.
Yeah. No, I don't.
But
I
not
don't.
today.
Not today. I don't know this one.
Not today. All right. Only 2 pitchers. And one of them has done it 3 times. One of them is Mike Fiers. That was a name I didn't expect.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
The other one is one that we would all want to be like, and is my birthday buddy. He's done it 3 times. 3 no-hitters and 3 immaculate innings.
Sandy
Same
Koufax.
season. That's right. Sanford Koufax.
Yes.
He
Crazy.
is the only other one. And now Reed Detmers.
And now Reed Detmers. Yeah, he is the first pitcher in 7 years with a no-hitter and an immaculate inning in the same season. So, yeah, it's been a little bit. And it's the 4th immaculate inning in the majors this year and the 109th in baseball's recorded history.
Recorded history.
Right. So there used to be more, but it wasn't recorded.
So when you hear that, you would think, wow, pretty incredible game. How much did the Angels win by? -3. They lost 5-2.
I know.
Anything.
They
Jose
were supposed
Quijada
to
comes
be
in, drops the ball.
Yeah.
Shohei-
Totally dropped the ball.
Shohei was 2 for 2, had a triple, walked twice. Luis Rengifo, 1 for 4 with an RBI. And Brandon Marsh, 2 for 4 in that game. So, pretty standard. We'll see what happens going forward without, 2 of their better pitchers, because now you've got to fill the hole with, do you use Aaron Loop, Ryan Tepera? Is there somebody else that you want to try to move up into a closer role? I think those are the only 2 that you could really use this season. I don't think anybody else is really ready. So there's that. We'll see how all that plays out. First game in Oakland, Syndergaard was scheduled to pitch. So next week we'll talk about who took over Syndergaard's spot in the rotation again to start off against Oakland. And then and they're at home for that, and then they head north to Seattle. We'll see if they have to take on Luis Castillo and any of the new Mariners. Mariners are definitely in the race for a playoff spot, one of the wild cards.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. Player of the week.
I sound like a broken record, but I went with Luis Rengifo again. He is consistent. He is solid. 10 for 28, 357, 9 RBIs. Just always has a hit, and obviously playing everywhere. He's doing it all.
Yeah, apparently. I gave the player of the week to Luis Rengifo a break and went with David Fletcher. Even though he only played 3 games coming in, he was 4 for 10. So he was batting .400, had 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. So he came back out strong after having the issues he had earlier in his time on the IL. So hopefully he'll continue that, and maybe making him the player of the week will motivate him.
Yeah.
To do great things.
great things.
I think it's
as
worked
he
for
has
Luis
coming back.
Rengifo.
I think so.
Time to hop in the dugout cart and tool around the stadium, take a look around baseball. And this week, we're going to start a little differently because our very own Jana went to a minor league game this week or last week and got to see the RoboUmp in action.
I did. So the RoboUmp is just a regular ump. It's not like a real robot. If you were hoping that, that's not what it is.
Better.
It would it'd be better. It's like thinking of Rosie from the Jetsons.
That was
wheeling
exactly
out there.
what I was thinking.
But no, it's just the home plate umpire has an earbud in his ear, and it's balls and strikes, and it makes the game go a little quicker because there's no argument. There's no, I don't think so. I mean, no one was thrown out of the game for arguing balls and strikes. And it was pretty quick. As soon it's relayed and the umpire makes a gesture, ball, strike, whatever it may be. So I was impressed. I was kind of impressed with it because I noticed that it really kept the pace of the game going. The other thing in the minor leagues is they have the pitch clock. And so that also helps keep the game on pace. The Isotopes played the Las Vegas Aviators. The Aviators won that game 12-7. Got to see a couple of former Dodgers, Sheldon Noisy, who looks angry. He just looks like he doesn't want to be in minor leagues. Billy McKinney was there, and he was playing. And then Jed Lowry was playing also, and he had a home run in that game. But it was fun, and I think that the RoboUmp, I think I could handle it being in the majors.
Even if they only used it when one game, a series, when Angel Hernandez might be behind the plate.
Yeah,
that might be worth it right there.
Maybe they ease into it with that. Like, okay, he's going to be behind the plate. Here's your earbud. Just call. The umpire still has his, manual, his clicker, so he can keep track of what's going on. But yeah, it's like seamless. There was, like I said, it kept it going. Fun night at the ballpark. It was Breaking Bad night. It was actually the Isotopes were the green chili cheeseburgers. They played as the green chili cheeseburgers that night. So different uniforms, and it was Breaking Bad night also, which is an iconic show that was filmed in Albuquerque. And Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul threw out the first pitch. Aaron Paul threw the first pitch to Bryan Cranston. And then they sang Take Me Out to the Ball Game during the 7th inning. And the Isotopes had the largest attendance for the minor leagues this season so far. That night, 15,619. The lab was packed. And we had a good time.
Awesome. Bryan Cranston didn't get tossed out of the game like he did in the celebrity softball game.
He did not. But it was cool to see them. Kind of surreal, but because you watch them but yeah, everybody in Albuquerque loves them in New Mexico because they kind of jump started the whole filming here in New Mexico, not just TV shows but movies but yeah. So I have a thumbs up for the RoboUmp.
Sweet. All right. Before we take a look at Jock's invitation to the world, who was another guy who there was some talk about him maybe being traded. and did not move. Before we get to that, we're at the beginning of a new month, so we got all of the monthly awards. But let's start with Players of the Week. There's a familiar face there and a new face.
Yeah. For the second week in a row, the American League Player of the Week is Aaron Judge. He batted .348 with 5 home runs, 10 RBIs in 6 games. He hit a home run in 4 of the 6 games. He had a 2 home run, 6 RBI game against the Royals. And the next day, he hit his 200th career home run.
He's on pace for 67 home run season.
Yeah, I would love to see him do it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. And then our NL player of the week, or I say the NL player of the week is Merrill Kelly of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He threw 15 scoreless innings over 2 starts. He allowed just 6 hits over the 2 starts while striking out 15 batters and only walking 2.
All right, players or relievers or concessionaires or whatever of the month.
All right, another familiar name for the AL Player of the Month, Aaron Judge. This is his second of the season. He was May's Player of the Month. He had 25 runs, 31 hits, 5 doubles, 13 home runs, 31 RBIs, 17 walks, 5 stolen bases across 25 games. He delivered his 3rd walk-off home run, which tied Hall of Famer Mickey Mantle for the franchise's single-season record. And he recorded his MLB-leading 9th multi-homer game of the season on Friday night at Yankee Stadium. His 9 such outings are the most by a Yankee in a single season in club history, and he became the first player in baseball history to register 9 multi-homer outings through his team's first 101 games of a season. With his major league leading 43rd home run of the season against the Mariners, he became the 4th big leaguer in history to log 43 or more homers through his club's first 104 games of a season, joining Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Babe Ruth. And let's go to the National League Player of the Month, who...
Do we really need to? Is there anybody... Isn't Aaron Judge just the all-MLB player of everything?
Yeah.
Right now.
I kind of feel that way. He didn't hit as many home runs, but he did help his team out quite a bit. And that is Austin Riley, the National League Player of the Month. Austin Riley of the Braves batted .423 with 21 runs scored, 15 doubles, 11 home runs, 25 RBIs, 7 walks, and an .885 slugging percentage over 26 games. He had 16 multi-hit games during the month of July, 3rd most in a calendar month in franchise history, behind Philippe Alou and Ralph Garr, who share the record with 17 multi-hit efforts. And on July 29th, he became the 3rd Brave in franchise history to record at least 44 hits, 11 home runs, and 24 RBIs within a 25-game span, joining Hall of Famers Chipper Jones and Hank Aaron.
And now, with this contract extension that we alluded to earlier, he's got a chance to maybe unseat Chipper Jones and find his own way to the Hall of Fame as the greatest Brave 3rd baseman ever.
Yeah, he during this time that he garnered Player of the Month awards, he signed a 10-year, $212 million extension with the Braves.
Who's next?
Well, let's head to the mound, and we got pitchers of the month. Dylan Cease of the Chicago White Sox, 2nd month in a row, has been named the AL Pitcher of the Month. He was had a 5-1 record with 40 strikeouts and a 0.76 ERA across 6 starts. And he limited the opposition to 24 hits, 13 walks, 3 home runs over 35 2/3 innings. He made 12 consecutive starts from May 29th to July 31st, in which he allowed 1 earned run or less, joining Jacob deGrom as the only starting pitchers, excluding openers, since 1913 to post 12 straight such starts. He also joined deGrom and Jake Arrieta as the only starter since 1913 to allow a total of 4 earned runs or less in a 12-outing span. And he also became the 3rd pitcher in MLB history to post 9 consecutive starts in which he pitched at least 5 innings without allowing more than 1 run in 9 or more consecutive starts, joining Hall of Famer Bob Gibson and Jack Combs. And another familiar name, he was the NL Player of the Week, and now he is also the pitcher for the National League, and that is Merrill Kelly. Across 6 starts, he had a perfect 4-0 record, 33 strikeouts, 8 walks, and a 1.31 ERA over 41 1/3 innings. He did allow 24 hits and 2 home runs. Each of his outings consisted of at least 6 innings, and he didn't yield more than 2 runs in any starts. He tossed at least 7 frames while notching 7 or more punchouts and not surrendering more than 3 hits in a pair of starts on July 25th and July 31st, which marked just the 7th such 2-start streak in team history and the first since Hall of Famer Randy Johnson did it in 2004. He also became the 3rd Diamondbacks pitcher to post an ERA below 1.40 with a minimum of 6 starts, joining Dan Herron and Randy Johnson, who accomplished the feat 3 times during his Cy Young Award-winning seasons in 1999, 2000, and 2002. And will continue to stay on the mound, but a little later in the innings, and go to relievers of the month. All-star closer Edwin Diaz of the New York Mets has been voted the National League Reliever of the Month for the 2nd consecutive month. He made 11 scoreless appearances for the Mets and converted each of his 7 save opportunities. He logged 25 strikeouts while surrendering just 1 walk, 2 hits across 11.1 innings pitched. 30 of his last 39 outs being recorded via the strikeout. He has struck out 52.5% of batters faced, the highest strikeout rate by a reliever through 42 appearances of a season in MLB history. And he has not allowed a run in his last 15 outings dating back to June 22nd. And then we'll head north to honor Canadian native Jordan Romano of the Toronto Blue Jays, who's been voted the American League Reliever of the Month. He made 10 appearances for the Blue Jays, 0.84 ERA, converted each of his 7 save opportunities, posted a 12-1 strikeout to walk ratio, allowed just 4 hits. He became the 7th pitcher in franchise history to save his 20th game before the All-Star break. He set a new career high by saving his American League leading 24th game of the season. And he loves being in Toronto at Rogers Center because across 22 appearances and 23 innings pitched, he has allowed just a single earned run while tallying 25 strikeouts and giving up just 11 hits and 5 walks.
Wow. He does like it there.
He does. And then the last one, Rookie of the Month, infielder Jose Miranda, who I learned is a cousin of Hamilton's Lynn Miranda. And he is the American League Rookie of the Month for July. And pitcher Spencer Strider of the Atlanta Braves.
When you said that he was a relative of, I didn't expect you to say Lin-Manuel Miranda. I thought you were going to say Carmen Miranda.
No, I did. I forgot the
Comes out
Manuel.
to hit
So yes.
with a fruit kind of thing on his head.
That'd be awesome, but no, maybe he's singing Hamilton songs.
Comes out and raps about
Right.
baseball.
That's right. Yeah, so he is the American League Rookie of the Month. And then pitcher Spencer Strider of the Atlanta Braves has been voted the National League Rookie of the Month for July. Jose Miranda had scored 13 runs, 24 hits, 2 doubles, 5 home runs, and 19 RBIs over 20 games played. Had a .353 batting average. He logged 3 hits in 3 consecutive games from July 24th to the 27th. He batted .426 with 20 hits during a 13-game span from July 5th to the 27th. Had 10 runs, collecting 10 runs, 6 extra base hits, and 15 RBIs. And then we'll turn our sights to Spencer Strider down in Georgia. He made 5 starts for Atlanta. He had a 2-1 record with a 2.70 ERA across 26.2 innings pitched, had 41 strikes, gave up 9 walks, 15 hits, and 2 home runs. He became the first pitcher in franchise history to post 3 outings with at least 10 strikeouts within his first 8 career starts. When they played against St. Louis, he became the first Braves pitcher since at least 1961 to have 9 strikeouts through the first 3 innings of a game. And he logged 6 innings with at least 11 strikeouts while not allowing more than 2 hits in consecutive starts on July 2nd and July 7th, becoming the first major league rookie since 1900 to register 11 or more punch-outs and 2 or fewer hits allowed in consecutive starts. And his mustache has replaced the pearls in Atlanta.
You know, what's funny is we talked last week about the questions about trades with Ohtani and the Braves, and that these people, they said, okay, Jesus Christ was one of them. None of the people who said anything that commented on that tweet said anything about giving up Jesus Christ, but they were against trading Strider.
Yes, that's right.
We mentioned earlier Brett Phillips. We were going to talk about the fact that he got DFA'd, but then he got traded to the Orioles. So the Rays got something for it. He's a guy we'd love to have on the show, and would also love to get something going with him and his brand. Baseball is fun. Very basic, but just baseball is fun. We would love to do that. But he's going to be playing with my other favorite team, the Orioles. And then another player that we talked about, because we talked about Austin Riley getting that extension. Another player that got an extension, Joe Musgrove from San Diego.
Yeah, homegrown son of San Diego. The Padres extend him for 5 years, $100 million. So a good move for the Padres. He's been really good for them, loves pitching there, obviously, and keeps him there. So no one's trying to fleece him, to get him.
Nope. And we'll see now how it all works with all of the changes. The Padres gave up Dinelson Lamet, who was supposed to be a good pitcher for them and had injury issues and other things. He just never came back. They were able to ship him out as part of the Juan Soto trade. Now that he's going to be there, and it looks like Fernando Tatis Jr. is starting his rehab work to get back into baseball activities. So scratching and spitting is always the first thing. So they're going to be, working through that, and so we'll see how the Padres all come together with these changes that they made.
Tatis is supposed to be possibly going out on a rehab assignment here pretty soon, like maybe this weekend or within the week.
And then, if you were wondering what players like to do in the off season, some players are realizing, or they're not going to have any playoffs, so their off season is going to start a little early. And Jock Peterson, I think, is getting that feel that the Giants are finding their way out of contention. So he put out a tweet inviting people to, I guess, apply to be part of his fantasy football league. And then you were going to get picked. So if you decided to go, then you'd be picked. I don't know how many people he's going to pick. And I'm sure there's a promotion connected to it too, because he had mentioned some kind of fantasy football league connected to something. I didn't see if at any point he said no physical violence or anything like that. If you don't like what I said or you lose, you don't get to slap me.
Right. And is this the same fantasy football league that Mike Trout is the commissioner for? Or is it a different league?
I think that's a different league.
So maybe that's a more private, high roller, I think, league.
Exactly. Well, it costs like $50,000 to get into that league. I don't think that was the
crazy
case for this one.
No.
While all this trade deadline madness was going on, and his team was getting all these new faces connected to it, Jacob deGrom found his way off of the wheel. His first outing since July 7th of 2021, he threw 5 innings, only 59 pitches. They held him to a below, but he didn't walk anybody, struck out 6, and he threw the ball 102 miles per hour. And he's already talking he wants to go to the World Series. And the Mets are building a team. So the only thing that he has to do to help them is stay off of the wheel of fire. He's on the IL now. He's on the IL now. Could be 60, 10, maybe 15. Hamstring, shoulder. Ow, my oblique. He's on the wheel of IL now. Coming soon to a 78 speed record and an 8-track tape. Available only on Reel to Reel.
We're going to look at Drew Jones first, who was the Diamondbacks'
the number 2 pick, Drew Jones?
Yeah, Diamondbacks' first-round pick. He injured his shoulder during his first batting practice session with the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he will undergo arthroscopic posterior labral repair surgery this week. And get this, the surgery is the same operation that Diamondbacks 2021 first-round pick Jordan Lawler underwent earlier this year. So I'm thinking that I'm thinking that if you're a potential draft pick and Arizona Diamondbacks draft you first, just say no, because your fate may be shoulder surgery. But yeah, so I had to start off with that one. Drew Jones didn't even get off the ground.
Not even played a game in minor leagues.
Nothing. All right. Eric Hosmer, who is now a Boston Red Sox, is listed as day-to-day with a neck injury. I don't know if he got some whiplash with making his decision. Do I stay or do I go now? I don't know. Chris Bryant. I don't know what the Rockies are thinking about this signing. He was on the wheel with back issues. Now he is back on the wheel with plantar fasciitis.
Huh.
And if you've had plantar fasciitis, it can take a while to get over. So hopefully he's wearing those special compression socks and doing what he needs to do
Doing
to
his,
get off the IL.
His stretches.
Yeah. Also in Colorado, Jolise Chassin is on the 15-day IL. Now, this is a new one. He is a pitcher, and he has toe sesamoiditis. I really practiced
We need
that,
to
and I don't
send
think
you
I
to
got
like
it right.
terminology school, like medical
Yeah.
terminology school.
So it looks like sesame. So sesamoiditis is an inflammation of the sesamoid bones in the ball of the foot and the tendons they are embedded in. And this inflammation is caused by overuse, especially by dancers, runners, and athletes who frequently bear weight on the balls of their feet. And it is treated with rest and anti-inflammatory medication. So he is a pitcher. It kind of makes sense. But that was a first. That is a first on the wheel of IL. This is also a first, and this is Mike Trout, who had rib cage inflammation or a rib cage injury, but then we have come to find out that he has a costovertebral dysfunction at the T5 in his spine. And when we heard this, it was like, he's done. This is it. This is his baseball career is over. He has seen a spine specialist, and actually it's, I guess, not as bad as maybe what it was first portrayed. He's going to have to work at it and do stretches and do things to keep it where he can play. But and
it
he's
is
working
something
on
that
now.
could cause him issues going forward if he's not careful with it, or even if
Right.
he is. They're not sure exactly how it happened, but everybody's like, "Uh-oh, Mike Trout's career's over or on the way to being over." And Mike Trout said, "Well, last week my career was over, and this week I'm fine." So
Right.
we'll see how it
Yeah.
plays out. Because
Yeah,
it's with
so
the
the-
Angels, he probably will have issues going forward.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, we like Mike Trout, and we, wish him the best. That hope that this is not something that will hamper him, and that he will be able to work, figure out what he needs to do to stay healthy. Justin Turner was listed as day-to-day for a while, came back, played in the last game against the Nationals, and then didn't play at all in Denver. They wanted to give him some time off, but he has now landed on the 10-day IL with abdominal injury. Another guy who just got traded. He had just signed with the Giants, I think like maybe 10 or 12 days before. He is now a Brewer, and that is Trevor Rosenthal. He's on the IL with a hamstring injury. Giancarlo Stanton has an Achilles injury, but it looks like that he may be coming back sometime this week. Evan Longoria of the Giants has a hamstring injury. Julio Rodriguez on the 10-day IL with a wrist injury after being hit by a pitch. There is no fracture, so good news for the Mariners, but still contusion and swelling in that wrist. Ty France is also out with a wrist injury, but he is listed day-to-day. St. Louis outfielder Tyler O'Neill has a leg injury. He's also listed day-to-day. George Springer is listed as day-to-day with an elbow injury, so we'll keep an eye on those guys to see if they do go on the IL. And then we saved this one for last. Rangers' John Gray, their pitcher, is on the 15-day IL with an oblique injury.
Oblique, oblica, oh my side. Oh my side.
And that does it for our ride on the wheel of IL.
All right, time to throw the tarp on the field and close up shop for this edition of the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Remember, you can go to our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. While you're there, click on one of the Fanatics links. Find your favorite gear from not only your favorite baseball teams and players, but from any sport, just about. And you can get in there, especially with football getting ready to start up again with college and the pros. I know that you can go in there and get. I always get some Titans gear through our link.
Yeah, I gotta get a new jersey. I don't know. I could duct tape Panthers across my Browns jersey for Baker, but I might have to get some Panthers gear.
And then once again, you can find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
Is that like a bubbling brook? Facebook? Is that a new thing?
Facebook. Did I say? Facebook, Instagram.
Yes. Instagram. Next week we will we'll talk about what happened with the Dodgers. Can they continue on beating down the Dodgers, and what happens when they meet up with the new look Padres? Will it be back to normal gas lamp parades, or are they on to something? And then we'll also see if dropping a couple of pitchers made any difference. Can the guys that are there turn things around? Will Mike Trout be back soon? All of that is questions that we'll try to answer next week on the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Have a great week, and don't forget to swing away.